Hi everyone, Mike here with you guys once again, and guess what? It is finally time for me to talk about my experience with PSVR 2 thus far. I got the headset last week, got a few games for it. The games that I played were, the VR games that I played were Horizon, Call of the Mountain, Kayak, and Resident Evil Village. Those are the 3 VR games that I played on the headset. I also did practice, I used Cinema Mode on YouTube, and played GTA 5 on Cinema Mode to test out that feature and that experience as well. As for I used 2 different headsets. I used the headsets that the earphones that the headset came with, as well as the Pulse headset or headphones that go around. So there you go. That's been my experience, and I've been doing that within the past few days or so. So let's talk about the headset itself. Many of the features that it has are features that I asked for many years, such as inside-out tracking. I think that should be standard now. Sticks on the move, no more move controllers. Instead, we get actual standard VR controllers that are similar to Oculus. They are a little bit of a different design. They take a bit of getting used to, but luckily there's a pass-through feature that has been a really big help. The pass-through feature is such a big help. I didn't actually require this as standard, but now that I have used the pass-through feature, I consider it a VR standard now. And I think all VR headsets going forward must use some sort of pass-through feature, because really it makes finding your controllers a lot less stressful. And since the controllers take a bit of getting used to in terms of how they're designed, the pass-through feature is truly a lifesaver. Also, since it uses inside-out tracking, it uses PSVR 2 has boundaries that you set up, and you can set up 3 boundaries: sitting, standing, or room scale. I recommend room scale because here's the thing: with sitting or standing, it takes very little, even on the low setting, for the boundaries to show up and break your immersion. And boundaries are mandatory; you can't turn them off. There's no developer feature, nothing. You are forced to have boundaries. I wish that wasn't the case, but you do. But luckily, unlike the Quest, the requirements for setting up a play area room scale is smaller than on the Quest. So even if you don't have the room for room scale, really, if you can walk around in any way, you should be able to set up some sort of room scale. It may not be the biggest room scale, but using the room scale, I very rarely get the net that breaks immersion. And the only reason I do that is the only time that happens really is if I'm sitting on the couch when I'm playing and I lean too far back. Most of the time, I don't get that. It doesn't happen very often. It's still not as good as in my opinion, as not having it there, because then your immersion would never get broken. But this is your best option of the 3. Go ahead and set up a room scale. Even if you don't think you have room for it, you might. Because it is more forgiving than the Quest. It's more lenient than the Quest. It allows you to set up room scale in smaller environments than the Quest does, which is a good thing. Now, it is sure you don't need a TV once you set it up the first time. But I was still having an issue. It was going, when I tried that, I tried leaving my TV off, and it wanted me to reset it again. But when I turned my TV on, it didn't. But I think it's just me forgetting to hit the PlayStation, hitting X on my PlayStation controller, to sign me in, because my settings are under my account, my VR settings. There is a setup process, and it's mostly software. Now, IPD, you get IPD selections from the knob and from electronically. So you get 2 ways to set up your IPD that work together. And it's hit or miss, the IPD settings, because you can either get the sweet spot right away and have super clear visuals, or it can sometimes be a struggle to get your IPD settings, even using all the tools. So honestly, if you're struggling, if it's becoming too much of a hassle to get your eyes to the circles on your on the screen to have blue around them, my recommendation is, honestly, if it's becoming too much of a struggle, discontinue that and just keep messing with the headset until you get that sweet spot again, or the close to it you can, because you're not always going to get your sweet spot. Sometimes you'll get your sweet spot right away, and it's beautiful when you do. But you're also going to have times when your sweet spot might not be as good, and you just have to make it the best you can and deal with it. The more you use your headset, the easier I think it's going to be. But even then, it's going to be tough. Sometimes, but not always. It's just whether you're willing to deal with that or not. But I do think it's worth it. When it works, it's awesome, and when it doesn't, it's not as awesome. But it's still worth doing. It's still worth getting the headset for, because the headset has too many awesome things about it. Also, haptic features. Here's the thing about haptic features and immersion. Like in terms of like the feedback on the head and the wrist. They're not that amazing to me when I'm thinking about it, because it's just my headset vibrating. It's the fact that when stuff's going on and you're totally immersed in everything, you're not thinking about it. In fact, you don't even realize it's happening. You might not be blown away by it because you're so into what's going on that you're not being distracted. And that's how you know it's working. That's how you know you're immersed, because you're so focused on what you're doing in this world that everything, all the bells and whistles that enhance the experience are doing their job, because you're not going, wow, that was intense, or that was cool. You don't want to be thinking about that. You want to be thinking about what you're doing. And the haptic feedbacks do a good job at accentuating what's going on rather than being the center of attention. And that's when you know you were immersed. Now let's talk about IPD. Not IPD. We have to talk about IPD. Let's talk about FOV. FOV, very important. I have been wanting greater FOV for a while, but I want to get rid of the tunnel vision altogether. One of the things that helps is if you don't wear glasses or you get contacts, that can help with that, because it will allow you to put the visor up closer to you. But the thing about the FOV, it's not necessarily your peripheral vision from left to right that is different. What is different is up and down. So above your eye and below your eye, there's no circle. There's no tunnel. The tunnel is strictly on your sides. That is something I want to see done next time, is have the sides expand and have greater FOV from left to right as well as up and down. That'll be when peripheral vision really gets really good. But for now, I didn't, like when I first tried it, I didn't really notice it, and with my glasses on. But when I had it with my glasses off, it was much more open, like this, like opening your eyes wider. That's how the lenses were. But left to right, the vision is still there. So that's how the FOV is expanded on, like this, not this, this. Okay. Let's see what else. Foveated rendering. Foveated rendering. Here's the cool thing about that. Not only does it save up power space and allows better graphic visuals for your eyes to look at, the cool thing is this is the first headset where this has happened. I'm able to play games without glasses, which is really cool. Normally, when we're playing in VR, I have to wear my glasses. And although glasses make text sharper to read, when you're playing games in the PSVR 2, because the foveated rendering is so sharp where you look, guess what? You might not need your glasses. You may not be quite as sharp as wearing them, but you get closer to the action and you don't risk damage, your lens bumping into each other. And here's another thing too, it's very important when it comes to glasses. This thing is eye tracking. It tracks your eyes and all that stuff. If your glasses are dirty, that can interfere with the eye tracking. It happened to me. I had to get my lenses cleaned before I was able to go back and use the headset. And even then, with the glasses on after they were cleaned, the eye tracking was kind of finicky. That's why I tried it with my glasses off, and that's how I realized I could wear it without my glasses. And then the eye tracking worked as it should. Everything was working normally in terms of eye tracking. All right, that's the device. I can't really. say much about functionality. Oh, 3D audio. I want to mention that I used two headsets. I think I like the Pulse better. I didn't care for the earbuds, although I do like how they're set up and the way that they stick to they can cling to your headphones. I thought that was really cool. But I still prefer to use the Pulse 3D headphones because you get a little bit more bass. The sound on YouTube on cinema mode is much improved over PSVR 1 wearing those things and using cinema mode. And honestly, when I was using cinema mode to play GTA 5, the earbuds just weren't that loud, and I was missing that bass. And I was playing the same thing when I was playing Resident Evil. I was missing the bass that I was used to. I know it's not a very noticeable bass, but it's like it's not the Pulse is not the bassiest pair of headphones, but you do get a little bit more bass than you do if you use the earbuds. So I recommend using the Pulse or some sort of over the ear. Plus, I don't like earbuds anyway; they always fall out. Anyway, that's it for the technical stuff. I want to talk about the games I played. Horizon, Call of the Mountain. Yes, it's a climbing game, and I don't think it's fair to criticize it for being a climbing game. You know, a good climbing game deserves credit for being a good climbing game, and this one has a Horizon theme to it, which is awesome. And I've never played a climbing game before. Horizon Call of the Mountain was the first climbing game I played, and so far, so good. Not only that, it comes with a safari ride that is a mix between Jurassic Park River Adventure and Skull Island Ring of Kong. It's only 5 minutes long, but I've ridden it 3 times now, and I love it. I purposely wanted to unlock it. I played as much as I could of Horizon just to unlock that feature, so that way if somebody comes over who doesn't know how to do VR, but I want to blow them away, I can do that with this attraction. Yeah, I describe it like a ride, because that's what it is. It is a Universal-style ride. And that's not even the bulk of the game. It's just a tiny little side thing. It just introduces the machines. But I'm not too far into Call of the Mountain, so I haven't I can't review it properly. But so far, it's been pretty cool. The eye tracking still I haven't really had a lot of help with the eye tracking when it comes to using it for as to help my aim. As using it as aim assist, it doesn't really work that well for me, but selecting menus, it definitely works on that way. Alright, so next thing is Kayak. Kayak is a experience where you get to either row in free roam, row your kayak with an actual kayak stick. And by the way, if you have a stick, you can attach the VR controllers to it, and use it as a kayak stick. And I would love to try that, but I don't have a stick, so I can't do that. But it has those options there. And the mode that I like is just regular, is a tour, safari, it's a mode where the boat just moves randomly on its own. And I tried the same areas several times, and the ride is random, so it's kind of different each time. The music is beautiful, but it's very limited, and it will start to repeat itself a lot, so I eventually just turned off the music and just let the sound effects play. And you get to see sea animals. I've seen dolphins, I've seen orcas, I've seen sharks and whales, and some really cool surprises underneath the water. And I know I haven't seen everything yet. And here's the thing about Kayak. It may look like this casual time waster that you spend a few minutes on to show off, and it can be that. But every time I play Kayak, I end up staying for a long period of time, for hours even, just relaxing. It is so zen-like. Playing the mode where the boat rides itself and just relaxing and looking around, I used that opportunity to play my own music on my tablet and listen to songs while I was just taking in the sights and the vibes, because it was almost like I was taking a Walkman with me to an expedition. And it was awesome. It was incredible. I loved it. Kayak is a haul that will suck you in, and I highly recommend you pick it up. It's super cheap. The graphics are impressive. I will say this: nighttime, the screen door effect or mirror or whatever it is can mess up the. If you don't have glasses on, it makes the nighttime sequences harder to see, but the daytime sequences, incredible. And if you're wearing glasses and using and watching the nighttime scenes, yeah, you still see the screen door effect, but you can still see the environments much better that way. But yeah, kayak. It will suck you in, and it is just an incredible experience, and I can't wait to go back there and do it some more. And then the last of the VR games I played was Resident Evil Village. I finally had the courage to finally play it after a few days because I was nervous about it because it's a horror game. Yeah, I know it's more actiony, but it's still got plenty of horror in it. Trust me. They definitely improved. It is an improvement over 7 in terms of the how clear it is. It looks like the way 7 should have looked. The fact that you use VR controllers instead of a regular controller makes it more immersive that way. It looks incredible. Plays really good. You have the option of whether to play to make it easier on yourself by automating things. Like reloads and stuff, but I would recommend you don't do that. I'm the person that loves easy games, but here, you want to be as immersed as possible. So when you're under stress, and you're going to be under stress anyway because of tense encounters, you might as well go all the way and have to actually reload and find your bullet from your belt, and because that makes it more immersive. That's what VR is all about. Same thing with Horizon. You have the option to not fall off, but I would recommend you don't use that because the fear of falling is part of the climbing experience. It makes it so intense. So yeah, I love easy games. I like making things as easy. You know, the mic mode thing is kind of a meme, kind of a joke at this point with me and my friend. But in the case of VR, you don't want it to choose. If you have to choose between easiness and immersion, go with immersion when it comes to VR because that's the entire point. I will say this: the cutscenes, and I like that they made them all around you and 3D, so it's not like you're not looking at a flat screen half the time. But the problem with the cutscenes is that if you don't turn around at certain points, your arms are going to go off by themselves and go over here. So you want to make sure that you are looking where your arms are to keep the immersion going. You also, when you lie flat on your back, and this is the problem with Luge VR, when you lie down in VR, your body is like this. And it's just weird. And also when the monsters attack you up close, it oftentimes looks, I don't know, it's kind of silly when it's supposed to be intimidating. But man, holding a gun with two hands like this, and going like that, looking around, wondering, being surrounded by like growling sounds, and not knowing if they're going to come out of this hole or they're going to come in through that hole. Moments like that are what make Resident Evil shine in virtual reality. And that is all. Like I didn't really get very far because, of course, it got too hard because I suck at games. But I was able to play enough of it to appreciate what it had to offer. So if you love Resident Evil 7, 8's a no-brainer. And that's it for the VR experiences I've done. Cinema mode is the audio on YouTube is better, and it does look better visually. I am disappointed that there's not going to be 3D Blu-ray support because I really wanted to get Avatar's sequel in 3D. But so it is a step down for the first one in that regard. Also, the controllers are the battery life is too short on them, which wouldn't be a big deal if you had AA batteries or some sort of replaceable batteries. But these are internal batteries that you can't replace that are going to wear down over time anyway. And I just wish that if you're because PSVR is for longer VR sessions, so you're going to want to spend a lot of time in it. You're going to want more than a 4-hour charge. Luckily, they can be recharged with the same way that a DualSense can, because they're essentially DualSense controllers for the most part, except no D-pad. So there's that. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff to cover because there's a lot of things I've been thinking about when I was preparing to make this video. So overall, do I recommend it? Do I recommend PSVR 2? If you're a fan of if you love PSVR 1 and we're looking forward to this, then I highly do recommend it. As for someone new to VR, if you're new to VR, here's a criticism, huge missed opportunity. Unlike the Quest, there is no tutorial on how to use the controller. So if you're coming from PSVR 1 into PSVR 2 and you haven't touched any other device, it might be confusing for you. The Quest has a tutorial to let you know how to use the buttons, the controllers, but this doesn't. And it's a huge missed opportunity because we could have had a new Astrobot tutorial. Why did you miss? Why can't we? Here's an opportunity. Imagine using eye tracking with the Astrobot character and how it can interact with you if you looked at it. Oh, come on. I'm pretty sure they're making a full-fledged game. I hope they are. But man, huge opportunity. Huge missed opportunity to not have Astrobot as a tutorial guide. Just saying. Just saying. Of course, I have a wish list of games I want on there. PSVR 1 games I want re-released on there, as well as games that haven't been on there yet. But overall, I am going to give this a thumbs up. It's not a perfect headset, you know. People have been having issues, and you know, there are little things here and there that I've griped about. But overall, it's a solid headset. Overall, I do recommend it. So, as far as if you don't have a PlayStation 5 and you're looking into it, it's a good option. It's just a matter of whether or not you want a game on console or PC. Like, do I want portable VR? Do I want PC VR gaming, or do I want console VR gaming? You know, just drop the word VR and look at it like you would console versus PC versus portable. And when it comes to deciding a headset, if console gaming is your thing and virtual reality is your thing, then as of right now, this could change depending on whether or not Sony supports this device in the long run. I don't know if they will. Hopefully, cross your fingers. You never know with Jim Ryan. But hopefully Sony will support this thing and we'll get a more... this thing will... If this thing is supported, and it has... And for VR to survive, it has to, because what happens on console is how the gaming industry goes. If high-end console gaming is to succeed, this device must. Because if this does well, then that means Xbox might do one. Nintendo might do one. They kind of did already, but it's a cardboard thing. But only time will tell, because this could be the next Vita. They could just bury this thing under the rug, and that would be really disappointing, because I really do feel like VR is the next evolution in gaming. Anyone who's played VR probably feels the same way, and those who haven't either couldn't handle it or weren't playing it properly, or they're so old that they rather have convenience and familiarity over innovation and taking the next step. Because I really do feel like flat screen gaming has plateaued and has peaked, and it has for a long time, and I feel like this is the next step forward. But that's a different topic right there. So overall, I do recommend it. Just know it's a bit pricey. It's not as pricey as the Quest, as with Quest Pro, and what you get with it, I think it's priced pretty fairly. It's just, but the problem is not everybody has a PlayStation 5 right now. Until people get those PS5s in homes and have them for a while, this is going to be a harder sell than what it would have been had the pandemic not happened. Just saying. Anyways, again, that's all. Those are other VR rants I could do. Anyways, that's all I got to say. PSVR 2, it's not perfect, but it gets a thumbs up from me so far. Time will tell whether or not it will be a must-have or not. I don't know. But for now, I do recommend that for anybody who's interested in VR, who likes console gaming, or anybody who has been looking forward to this since PSVR 1. Those are the two audiences I'm going to highly recommend this to. Not necessarily... I don't know if I can recommend it for everybody yet, but for those of us enthusiasts, I think you're going to get a lot out of it, at least for now. Hopefully we'll get even more. That's all I got to say. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.